Hey, welcome to the Restaurant Coach Podcast. It is the cure for the common restaurant. Oh my God. I am so happy. I am so happy to be blessed with having Zack Oates from Ovation back on the podcast.
What's up, Mr.
When
Burns?
people ask me, like, how would you describe Zack? I say, Zack, number one, he's a good friend. Number two, he's a brilliant businessman. Number three, he is an incredible family man. And that's, it's hard to find someone who can blend everything together. And, Zack, I tell you, man, hats off to you. You do all three perfectly, my friend.
Well, I don't know if my wife or co-founder would agree with you, but, I think we're doing it. That's
You're
for
doing
sure.
it, man. I'm doing it, baby. I'm doing it.
So, dude, before we jump into things, though, I'd love to ask you a quick question, if that's okay.
Sure. Yeah,
Can we flip the mic around?
Yeah, we can flip it around.
So I got a guy. I know a guy. Got a guy. One of my clients, he's doing really well. He's got 7 restaurants, looking for his next thing.
Mm-hmm.
Does he want to sell them? Does he want to hire someone to run them for him and just take residuals? Financials are looking really good. Guests are really happy. Is that the kind of person that you like that Donald Burns can help? Or
that's something definitely I help with, because I find a lot of restaurateurs, they stagnate because they don't have an exit plan. And the exit plan is not necessarily just exiting, leaving the business, but like, what's the next step? What's the next phase of your growth as a restaurateur? It could be, he might be bored and maybe he just needs some new projects. Maybe he wants to sell some equity. I mean, he's doing really well. Maybe he wants to sell some equity to some of his team members, give them an opportunity for ownership, and he can still get, residual income. Maybe he just wants to pick up and start over somewhere else and do something new. But having that solid vision, that's what we call it, having a why statement. Like, what's your vision for this thing? What's the next level for him? I'd be happy to talk to him and help him figure out what's the next kind of best play for him based on what his goals are and what's his desire. So,
okay. Yeah. All right. When I chat with him next, because when he was telling me about this, I was like, I know someone that he should talk to. But then I was like, because I know, I've met a lot of the people that you work with,
mm-hmm.
and anyway, and I've heard so many awesome things from going to your seminars and talking to people that you've worked with. And so anyway, you were the first person to come to my mind when he was talking about, like, what do I do next? And I was like, I got a coach for you. I got a restaurant coach for you. I got the restaurant coach for you.
That's it. The same thing with you. When people say, like, hey man, I really want to take my digital game up to the next level. Have you talked to Zack at Ovation? No, you got to talk to Zack, because if you want to talk about next level, taking your, if you want to start taking your marketing up to the next level, and especially want to enhance that guest experience, if you want to do anything, is, the digital table touch, converting people from third party to first party, getting loyalty programs, just actually getting in touch with people at a better level, Zack is the man at Ovation.
Dude, because, one of the things that we talk about a lot about at Ovation, I go around and I do a lot of these speeches around the country. In fact, I just did one for a giant client last weekend. I'm flying out this weekend to another big client, and what I talk about is hospitality.
Yeah.
Right? Because now, I got my start in the restaurants, and you got you cut your teeth with Wolf, and you've had all these great experiences there. And but one of the things is that with me right now, I've worked with over 5,000 restaurants about
crazy.
Their guest experience, and talking about what are they doing to improve their guest experience, and talking about how to measure that. And so I've seen a thing or two when it comes to the guest experience. You want to talk about how to optimize your P&Ls and get better pricing on potatoes, like, I'm not your guy. But if you want to talk about how do you create a great guest experience, I've seen millions of points of data on this. And in fact, Ovation, we collect millions of points of data every month about this.
That's awesome.
And we've come down to this, what I call the ladder of loyalty.
Mm-hmm.
On the first rung, the bottom rung to get up to the top of the ladder of loyalty is convenience.
Yes.
You've got to have the expectations of the experience exceed the effort, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the higher the effort to go, the better the expectations of the experience should be. And that'll get somebody in a first time. And we're talking about online reviews here. We're talking about word of mouth. We're talking about, Donald, you got to check out this restaurant. I went to it. It's so amazing. And you're like, Zach, it's an hour drive and it's $100 a plate. And I'm like, Donald, it could be around the world and $1,000 a plate. It'll still be worth it. Are you going to go if I explain a restaurant like that?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, if I say, oh, there's a restaurant, it's right around the corner from you. It's not very good, but look, they had like really good dollar tacos.
It's super close. It's like
super close, and it's $1 tacos, and you're like, okay, like I'll try it. Like whatever.
I might.
You might.
I might.
But yeah, maybe not tacos. But McDonald's, look at McDonald's dollar soda, right? The value menu. Why does McDonald's stay in business? Is it because of their like, because they have the best burgers in the world? No. Now I will say though, their burgers, their quarter pounder with cheese is not a bad burger. And anyone who says otherwise, I think is just like getting some preconceived notion. So anyway, but that'll get somebody in the first time, right, Donald?
Yes.
But then you don't want to stay at that bottom rung.
No.
There have been millions of restaurants that have died at that bottom rung.
Exactly.
Because that second level, which is really what it comes down to, the reason that you hire really good coaches, the reason that you bring on trainers, the reason that you want to track what's going on is consistency, right? So on the bottom level, you have convenience. In the middle, you have consistency, and that'll get somebody in a few times, right?
Yep, definitely.
Let's say that you go to a good restaurant. It's, you go the first time, you're like, okay, yeah, sure. That was a good experience. My expectations were met. And now you go back a second time and the service is horrible. And the bun is dry and the flavor is missing out on the brie that goes on your burger. Because by the way, that's exactly what happened to me today for lunch.
No way.
And yeah, there's a place I'd been to one other time before since they got new ownership. And it was okay. But then this time I was like, all right, let's give it one more shot. And like everything was bad about it. And so it was inconsistent. I got the same thing both times. It was two very different experiences.
Oh, wow.
So what's the likelihood of me going back?
Pretty slim.
Like pretty slim.
Yeah.
But if you can get to that highest level on the ladder of loyalty, then you have got someone who is a raving fan. You've got someone who is a 5-star review leaving, it's my birthday, catering, ordering. When there's a party at the office we need to go to, that is about connection.
Yes.
So you've got your convenience, you've got your consistency, and then you've got your connection. And when you can connect with the guest to help them feel important, that is when they could forgive mistakes. That is when they let you know when something goes wrong. That is when they'll go to leave you 5-star reviews without you asking. And like, these are the types of things that you need to do. And if you haven't read, Setting the Table, or if you haven't read Will Guidara's, Unreasonable Hospitality, there's some great insights in there on how do you create that connection. And at the end of the day, it's like, why are we friends, Donald? Like from a personal standpoint, why are we friends? It's because we've met each other.
Yeah, we have got a connection.
We've got a connection. And every time I see you, I'm happy to see you and you're happy to see me. And every conversation I have with you adds value to my life. And, I enjoy hanging out with you and your people. And so if you came to me today and you hopped on this podcast and you said, man, Zach, like your hair looks ugly today. And I'm going to be like, okay, but let's look at all the experiences that Donald and I have had, all these thousands of experiences that we've had together. And I'm like, that doesn't true up with everything else. Are you okay, Donald? And you're going to be
exactly.
like, oh, I'm sorry, Zach. I'm
sorry.
I'm just cranky.
I got a bad haircut last week, and
my wife met my girlfriend yesterday, and like
my wife met my girlfriend, and
right,
it's just been a bad day.
And then I'd say, oh man, I'm so sorry, and we wouldn't have done the podcast, and we would have chatted and like had like a good conversation, right?
Yeah.
It's because that we have that connection, that human connection, and as digital as you make the restaurant, you still have to have connection.
You have to. not a should have, it's a must have.
With every channel too,
Yeah.
right?
Every channel, yeah, exactly. As many channels as you can.
And with Ovation, that's one of the things that we talk about all the time with our guests, with our customers, is that look, your drive-through guest is just as important as your phone-in guest, is just as important as your online order guest, as your third-party guest, as your dine-in guest. And yet, what happens, Donald? We spend 90% of our hospitality training on the dine-in guest,
Yes,
and then we say, well, the rest of them will kind of figure it out, right?
Okay.
It's like that's 40% of your business that you're saying, oh, their opinions don't matter. Like, they don't need hospitality.
That would be like the same thing as like looking at your menu and just say, I'm just going to focus on the entrees. I don't care about the appetizers, desserts, or the beverages.
It makes no sense.
No sense at all. Where the profit margins are really in like the beverages and desserts, exactly.
Exactly.
And look at like the dine-in guest compared to the drive-in guest. I mean, the profit margins are so much more because you have less. You don't have as much into them, as far as time. The experience is so much escalated as far as convenience that is so much faster. But we tend to, again, we prioritize the wrong things sometimes.
Exactly. Or we segment the wrong things. And we say, we look at a digital guest as a digital guest. They're not a digital guest. They're a digital guest, right? And like, they're the same thing as any other kind of guest. And just because you can't see the whites of their eyes when they're taking that first bite doesn't mean they're not taking that first bite, right?
That makes such sense. And when people think about that, I've seen so many restaurants do that. If you're a dine-in, they treat you like, oh my God, I'm so happy you're here. But like people who call, and I've been right there at the restaurant, at the host stand, and I'm standing there in front of it, and they treat you like, oh my God, so happy to have you. You have a reservation. And then the phone will ring. Yeah, can you hold, please? And they're like, to act like, like they're second-class citizens,
Oh my gosh, let's talk about phones for a second, shall we, Donald?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, so that's one of the things, by the way, for listeners who don't know what Ovation does, we do guest feedback for restaurants, right? And we're all about, the modern guest has changed. They don't want to tell you face-to-face what's wrong. They don't want to take your long, dumb survey. They just want to either have a good experience or like move on to another restaurant if you can't provide them a good experience. But we found that if you get them to answer a 2-question survey, and we found 67% more likely to answer a 2-question survey than just if you ask them to answer a survey. Like take a survey versus take a 2-question survey, 67% more likely. So if you want to get a lot more feedback, make your survey 2 questions. And so that's the whole premise that we started with. And then if they love it, which on average, 70 to 75% of guests who take the Ovation survey have a great experience. We push them to leave 5-star reviews. We push them to catering orders. We push them to join your loyalty platform, things that are going to drive revenue for you. And if they don't love it, we ask them why. And then we have a powerful AI powered app where in 2 clicks, you can respond to that guest with the perfect guest resolution, guest recovery, template. And addressing their exact concerns and make sure that they're coming back. Now, in this whole process of doing this, thousands of restaurants, we work with millions of people have taken the Ovation survey. We realized that there's a big gap in phones. For example, we were working with a large chain, and they started doing an audit on their phones because they got a couple of negative reviews about phones not working. They have it. They paid for these great tools like Marquee to put their phone number all over everywhere. And then when people would call, you know what they found out? They found out that in over 30% of their stores, the employees had unplugged the phone.
Oh my God.
You talk about a real middle finger to the guest.
That's a real.
Imagine someone coming to the door, going to open your front door.
The door's locked.
And the door's locked, and your employee is standing inside, looking at you, being like, sorry. It's like, wait, what? But that's what's happening on the phones. Over 30% of their phones were unplugged. And data shows that over 30% of restaurant phone calls go unanswered. Donald, why are people calling restaurants? This is
they want to do business with you. Yeah.
Wait a second. You mean that someone is calling because they want to spend their money?
They want to spend money with you, man.
And 30% of the time,
no one answers the call. No one wants the money.
No one wants the money, right? And so what do? They call someplace else.
Yeah, exactly.
And they spend their money elsewhere and they have a good experience. And so what's the likelihood of them coming back to you versus them?
None.
And there's only one thing worse, Donald, than a phone call that goes unanswered. That's a phone call that gets answered. And I'll tell you, I'll tell you
answered rudely.
Or gets answered at all. Because what happens? I go up to the front of Donald Burns Burgers, and Donald Burns is up at the working the register, and I just waited in this line, and I get up to the front, and I'm like, can I get? Sorry, hold. Yeah, hey, what can I get for you? Oh yeah. Okay, And now I'm sitting there feeling like a schmuck, being like, hey, hello, I'm like right here, right? And so that's why we created Ovation Call to Text. And what Ovation Call to Text does is when you call a restaurant, you're presented with a series of options. Hey, press 1 for this, press 2 for this, press 3 for this. And if I press 1 for hours of operation, guess what happens? I get a text message with the information. Why? Because do I need to like sit there with a pen and paper and write down your hours of operation? No, now I have a text message. And guess what? I could even respond to you on that text message. Are you guys open next week for the holiday? Right? I could press 2 to get a link to place an order. I could press 3 with a link to give feedback about my order. Wow. I could press 4 if I have a question about my order. And every single one of those options is going to push me a text message. And so I can engage in this one-to-one dialogue, leveraging the Ovation backend system, which is a many-to-one conversation. So if Donald's available, Donald can answer Zach. If Tim's available, Tim can answer. If Jamie's available, Jamie can answer. But to Zach, it's just a simple text conversation.
Yeah.
And now you can still have an option number 5, 6, 7, whatever, as talk to someone. But the benefit is that you're reducing the number of people that are calling your store by getting their questions solved quickly, getting them a channel they can talk in real time. And you can either choose to, like I said, have this be the first filter before they get to someone. And so that way you tell your staff, plug the phones back in, because we're going to reduce the call volume by 60 to 70%. And the people that are calling actually need to talk to you. Or you can do what, another client that we have, rip the phones all out of the store, stop paying the phone bill. And now everything is done through text. Everything. Yeah. And how beautiful is that? Because, they're getting these responses out because, you need one person to respond to all of, they have 32 stores and they have one person responding to all of their phone calls, all of their feedback, and it takes a few minutes a day. Yeah. And so that's the beauty, is that phones are such a powerful way to connect, and everything communicates, Donald. And what does it communicate to me when I call Donald's Burgers and he doesn't answer? What does it communicate to me when I wait in line for Donald's Burgers and he makes me hold so that he can answer a phone call? Like, you're darned if you do and you're darned if you don't. Exactly. But when you have a system like Ovation, it simplifies the whole process and makes it a better experience for dine-in and for phone-in guests.
I think that's the key right there is, and I talk a lot about with my clients is that you want to do things that reduce friction.
Yes.
You got to reduce the friction. Multiple, I hate it when people I go to their website and there's I got to click through 5 different pages to find the freaking menu. I reduce friction, make it easy for me to do business with you.
So, and let me ask you a follow-up question. Why do you tell people to reduce that friction?
Because we're impatient. We don't have the patience. Human beings just don't have patience anymore. We just we totally lost it.
Right. And because we live in a world of immediacy and optionality.
That's it. Immediacy. And when that's the two right there.
When you combine immediacy and optionality, that means I'm impatient because I don't have to be patient.
Exactly. Because I got options.
I got options, and I got options really quickly. I no longer have to drive to the next town over to try, Jim's Burgers. All I have to do is make one little swipe, and I'm ordering from Jim's Burgers, right? And so, the restaurant consumer is the most fickle consumer, the most the most promiscuous consumer that there is in the market.
That's true.
And we need to
So
be okay
true.
with that. But the way that you combat promiscuity is with connection,
Exactly.
and while they may go off and do other things, I think at the end of the day, what we need to be is we need to be connected, and we need to, like, here's the secret ingredient. You want to hear the one word that
The one
will
word.
change your restaurant, will change your life, and shoot, man, this will even change the world. You ready for the one word?
I got a pen. I'm ready to write it down. I always say hashtag write this shit down.
Hashtag, right? This is a 4-letter word. Care. You have to care. You have to care about your employees. Your employees have to care about the guests, and the guests have to know that they are cared about. And if you can, I love how Will Guidara put it in Unreasonable Hospitality, is like, make it cool to care, right?
Cool to care,
When you do that, when you have that kind of culture in your restaurant, that people are looking for ways to care and to make someone's day special, like, that's magic.
That is magic.
Can I tell you one quick story? I know I've been talking so much here, but
you're awesome. You're awesome, man.
This
I
is
love it.
this is like, what I think about every morning as I blow dry my hair, right? It's just like, how do we?
And hey, I want to sidetrack here real quick. You said earlier, like, your Donald said I had bad hair. Zach, I wish I had your hair. Okay,
Donald, you have great hair. I wish I had your teeth, and I wish I looked 5 years older than you. Right now, I don't even look close to that, man. You're looking good. So
I feel good.
You should. I mean,
good.
So I was talking with this with one of our customers, and she's 82 years old.
Okay.
And she's got this restaurant. It's a fast casual restaurant, but they do quite a bit of dine-in. And what she does is she bakes lemon cookies. So she's got like this, her famous grandma lemon cookie recipe that she's perfected through the years. So she makes these lemon cookies, and whenever she sees a kid, she goes up to that kid and says, "What's your name?" And they say, "Oh, my name's Donald." "Your name's Donald? No way." Because, the Cookie Monster came last night and ate every single cookie except for one. And they wrote your name on it. They wrote Donald on the box. But I know that you don't like cookies, right? "Oh no, I like cookies." "And would your dad let you have a cookie?" "Mom and Dad, yeah. Let me go in the back and get this box." And she gets a little box and she puts the cookie in it and she writes Donald on it and she brings it out for them. And they see, this is for you. Now look, that whole engagement takes about maybe a minute of her time.
Nothing. Yeah, it's nothing.
What? And it's 25, 35, 40 cents for the cookie in the box, whatever the case is, right?
Yeah.
Not very much. What does that do? Holy cow.
Huge connection and caring.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so many people, I think, miss out on the fact that it's not about spending a lot of money.
No.
It's about caring.
Exactly.
It's about cutting up that New York City street hot dog into 4 and getting it plated and bringing it to those people. And as Will talked about, like, nothing he did could have been more impressive to that group of 4 diners than bringing in a New York City hot dog, just because he'd overheard them saying, "We've tried all the best food, but we haven't tried a hot dog." And, like, those are the types of things that matter so much. And when you could empower your employees to do that and to say, "Hey, look, if you see a kid, go up and make a connection with them." Go when you say, "How was everything?" Ken McGarrick, oh gosh. Let me hold on. I know Ken Hold on. Oh yeah, Ken McGarry. That's right. So Ken McGarry talks about the table touch, and like if you go
Oh
up and
yeah.
you see that like something, and I've heard you talk about this as well, Don. Like if you see that they're kind of that they, oh yeah, everything was great, and like their food isn't there, like
Food not
train
touched.
your
Yeah.
staff. If it's their first time in and
Mhm.
they don't order the best thing on the menu, bring it to them. If they say, "Oh, I wish I could choose between this app and this app, but I'll get this app," bring them a half portion of the other
Yeah,
app.
bring it.
Like
Yeah.
these things don't cost a ton of money, but when you could empower your people and make them, you know, care machines, like
Mhm.
that's when you have a generational business. That's when
Exactly.
whatever your exit plan is, that's when you have create something that can create that magic that is so hard to find.
And then you want to talk about empowering your people, and you said doing something that shows that you care. I always tell all my clients, two most powerful words in the English language are thank you. And
But
we
but
don't
Donald,
use it. We don't use it enough with our team.
But Donald, those two words are so expensive. I can't afford that. I can't afford to
I tell
say
you, you should
thank
be
you.
giving them out like lollipops at the bank, baby. I'm telling you.
But it's too much money to say it's free.
It's
Like
free, man. You should be giving that shit out all the time, man. You
so
should be making it. You should be making it rain thank yous all day.
right. Can I tell you something that we do at Ovation? So I obviously every company is like is built on people. Like people are what make the
You
company, foundation of the company. It's like everything's about people. And if people do a good job, then customers are happy. If people do a bad job, customers are frustrated because at the end of the day, the product is amazing. It's just about like the people.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we do at Ovation to express appreciation is we want to make sure, yes, there's the employee of the month thing, right? And at Ovation, we call it the standing ovation. And once a month, I give someone the standing ovation. And sometimes if there's a bunch of people who did like a lot of good things, I'll call it the CE ovations and they'll get like, something for that too. But here's the twist on things, Donald. Every single employee at Ovation
Mhm.
gets a bonus every month. And it's called an ovation. Everybody gets an ovation,
Nice.
but they have to give it to someone.
Ooh.
And then in our all hands meeting once a month, I read out, I take the last 15 minutes and I read out who gave whom their ovation and why. And it's the nice thing is that it's tied to the ovation values. So we have 5 ovation values. And so you have to select which ovation value that person exhibited and what specifically happened in that last month that they get that ovation for. And so think about that. Every
Oh, that's
single
awesome.
month, you get a way to thank someone at Ovation and you have to pause and you have to genuinely express gratitude. And, we're not talking about $1,000. We're talking about 20,
Yeah.
right? Because it's not about the dollar amount. It's about
No.
the message
Yeah.
of we care about you and we want you to care about each other. And so let's all express gratitude. And it's a great way for me to hear what's happening and to
Yeah.
catch people doing good because it's sometimes hard. I take, 30 to 40 trips a year speaking around the country. I'm not in the day to day. We have
Yeah. Yeah.
60% of our team is remote. I don't hear about what all the private conversations are. But when someone says, "Hey, thank you, Randy. You really helped out with this onboarding call,
That's
and I
awesome.
really appreciate that." Right? Like it creates that moment of celebration that I think is so important and a way to foster that culture of caring. And I mean, look, steal that idea for your restaurant. Like
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
that with your employees. It's so powerful to make people feel good.
That's yeah. That's one thing I think all restaurants need to work better on. How many times have you heard someone always say, and it's a common, I always say it's a common catchphrase, people are our most valuable asset.
Mhm.
But how many people really back it up?
Yeah, it's like if so there was this there's this question that I don't remember the origin of this question, but somebody once said, if you were on trial for being a Christian, would there be enough proof in your life to convict you of being a Christian? Right?
Ooh, that's
So let's
good.
flip it around.
Yeah.
Would there be enough proof? Somebody coming in, an alien comes in and looks at your restaurant. Would they be able to say, here's the proof that they actually care about their people? And what is the evidence? Show me the evidence that you care about your people. Do you call them when they get sick or text them to be like, hey, do you need anything from us?
Yeah.
Like, do you have a plan where they can take vacation? Do you have a plan where they can take care of their family? Are you paying them a livable wage, or do they have to go and have 2 other jobs? Like, what are the things that prove that you care about people? Because talk is cheap, right?
Super
And
cheap.
people aren't.
Yes, super cheap. Yeah, super cheap. Super cheap. Yeah. So one of the things I want to talk about on the podcast today too is like, so every October I do this Restaurant Success Summit, and Zach has been so great to come down. He's always one of the speakers at my Restaurant Success Summit. This year, the Restaurant Success Summit is going to be we moved to Tucson, Arizona this year.
Yeah,
it's gonna be awesome. We're actually going back to where I've had my very first Restaurant Success Summit. It's at a resort called Hacienda del Sol, beautiful resort up in the Tucson foothills. It's gonna be amazing. We got 10 speakers this year. It's bigger than ever. It's gonna be 20 sessions over 3 days. It's October 21st, 22nd, 23rd.
And I am stoked to go.
Wait, actually, it's October. No, it's actually October 23rd, 24th, 25th, right?
Yeah. I've got it from. I'm going to show up on the 22nd, and I'm leaving on the 25th.
That's it. Yeah, October 23rd, 24th, 25th in Tucson, Arizona. You can head over to restaurantsuccesssummit.com right now. We actually have early bird ticket pricing available. The pricing will go up, and this thing does always sell out, by the way.
And it is so awesome. I mean, as someone who I've been able to, this is going to be what, fourth year or something like that.
It's the 4th year I think you've been there for me. Yeah.
And it has been such a great experience, not just, because I get a chance to sit in on a lot of the education seminars. They are powerful. And I've made some great connections and friends from the other speakers because you bring in some really cool people. Like, I am the most JV person you bring in. Everyone there is like first string all pro. And not just like, the cool thing about it is this summit is something where you are able to help them think through not just very practical things of go home and do this tomorrow, but also different ways to think.
Right.
And when you combine that, a new way to think with a new thing to do, and you can implement that in your restaurant and you can implement that in your life, like it has transformational powers to really have both ends of that. And I think that's something I just have appreciated about your seminars and your summits, is that they do a really good job of blending that strategy and that tactical. And come with a pen and come with a paper ready to get a hole burned in it.
I usually give like an 80-page workbook that usually goes out with it. Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah. And it's so, and it's not like, yes, it could be, there's a lot of things that you could do there, but at the end of the day, what you need to do is pick out, okay, here's the 10 things I'm going to do. And I think that like having that star page of like, here are my rock star ideas that I'm going to implement as soon as I get back. And here are the things that I need to strategize on and think differently about. And if you can have that page and create that like line in the middle, and you have 10 things to do and 5 things to think about, like, this is going to be worth so much more than you're going to pay for the attendance. And it's beautiful. And you get to meet other restaurateurs. And it's not like some frou-frou thing. Like, Donald's the real deal. And
thank you.
I genuinely mean that.
Oh, thank you. And I love doing the summit every year, just because the summit not only is a great way for me to, and I usually do it. I do it mostly for a lot of members of my coaching groups. But the number one thing too is like, how many times have you and I been to these like conferences, and it's a really great speaker and you get tons of ideas, but then you go back to your restaurant and you can't really implement. You don't really know what the next step is. The one beautiful thing I always say about the Restaurant Success Summit is it's not just a conference. You actually get coaching after you come to the conference. You get with me, you get access to my restaurant mastermind group for coaching for 30 days after the conference. So we actually get you momentum going in the right direction, because you and I have always been, we travel a lot and we speak at these conferences. We see all these things, and man, I see all these people get all fired up, and then I know they're going to go home, and then they're not going to do nothing with it,
Oh yeah. And I mean, think about these conferences that we've been to where, I've seen you speak, you've seen me speak, rooms of hundreds of people.
Hundreds.
And then what happens? It's like, it's so hard to figure out. The cool thing about this summit is like, well, guess what? I'm going to be at dinner. And if you want to ask a question around like, hey, this is what's happening in my restaurant, great, let's talk about it. Right. And even during the session, I like to leave quite a bit of time for questions, because people will say, here's my restaurant, here's the problem I'm going through, what do you think? And we can workshop it live. And I think that's part of the benefit, is like in a room of 300, people can raise their hand and ask a question, but you're getting a 10-second question, you're getting the 30-second answer, and it's as generic as possible. And I think that's one of the powers about this summit, is it's not a conference, it's a summit. It's a
summit. It's 50 people. It's maxed at 50. I only keep it at 50 people because I want, again, like you mentioned, I want people to have the interaction. Like at lunchtime, there'll be lots of tables. We have a lunch set up in the room, and then there's different tables. And I always tell the speaker, spread out, grab a table. And then I tell the people come into the conference, go find the speaker you want to talk to about something, and just pick their brain. They're more than happy. Everyone I have as a speaker is more than happy to sit down and have conversations with you one-on-one, either during lunch or even after the summit. We go from 9 to 5 every day, but they're more than happy to sit down with you and just like, hey, because, a lot of times people are embarrassed to ask questions. Nobody wants to like look like an idiot in front of other people. And they might think their question's not really relevant, or they don't want to look embarrassed, but man, they love coming up. And I know Zach is like every time we have a summit, after the summit, after we get done to 5, Zach is like always there, like just talking, like he's got people like bending his ear, asking him questions. And it's great.
It's like,
see,
look, I mean, the reason that I'm here as opposed to working somewhere else is because like one of my passions in life is building value. And if there's something I've learned working with these thousands of restaurants that can help out, then great. Let's do it. Like, what's the point of me doing? I mean, like you, I do a podcast. I'm at like episode 250. You've been a guest on it at least 2 times.
Oh yeah, I love your podcast.
But like, what's the point of me doing all of this if I can't share what I'm learning? Exactly. And there's so much that I'm learning from both meeting with experts, working with restaurants, seeing the data in the back end, analyzing the online reviews. There's a lot that we can see, and the more that you see, even though, like I said, I am very, very deep in restaurant guest experience, and but across so many different restaurants, right?
Yes,
so that's the cool thing about it, is I get to learn from other people who are really deep in their expertise across a lot of restaurants and something else. And so it's fun for me to learn and see how everything gets connected.
That's the beautiful thing too about like the coaching I do, is that I work with, every kind of restaurant you can think of, from food trucks, food halls, bakeries, cafes, coffee shops, full service restaurants, restaurant chains, restaurant groups. It's amazing. And you realize there's common threads, and you probably see the same thing. There's common threads of commonality about problems they all have, that they all share, but they all think that their problems are unique.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, you wouldn't understand my problems, Zach. You wouldn't understand my problems.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, I've heard the same thing from 5,000 other people, exactly. and let me tell you how 2,000 of them have solved your problem.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing. It's like what I always say: all business problems are people problems.
Yeah, I think it's so true, right? And I think that if you could have the right people and the right processes, it's like you are on track for greatness.
Exactly. Perfect. Yeah. So, personalization, and we talk about this, we talked about personalization is a huge thing. Share some like innovative strategies that you guys have started doing to personalize marketing efforts with Ovation. And I know you just mentioned like the call to text thing was a huge thing. I think that's a game changer, because I'll tell you right now, when my phone rings, if I don't know the number, I don't answer it, but I'll definitely respond and look at a text message right away.
Exactly. Right. And then it's like even better than web chat, because when you go on a web chat, and you're chatting with someone there, it's like, okay, well, what if you have to leave your computer? What if you close down the browser on your phone? Like,
you start over.
when it's a text, it's forever.
there.
Right?
It's there.
98% of text messages are read, 95% are read within 3 minutes. Like, text messages get read, they get seen, especially now you have Apple Watches and
Apple Watch.
you
It's
can't
like,
not
I got two right there.
right? Exactly. And I think that's so important. I think when you talk about the personalization of it, and you talk about the personalization of marketing,
yes,
one of the things that we found is so a lot of times people come up to us and will be like, hey, we love the concept of Ovation, but my restaurant's unique.
of course.
I have specific questions that I need to ask. And I'll say, okay, like, what do you need to know? Like, well, I need to know about order accuracy. Okay, well, there's two ways you could find out about order accuracy. You can ask a couple of people if their orders were accurate, and maybe you hit them, maybe you don't, and maybe those are the people that are going to answer it, maybe they won't. Or you could ask 1,000 people, how was your experience, and listen for the people who are complaining about order accuracy. And so our system does that. We break down all this open-ended feedback into 34 different categories, so you know exactly what you need to fix where.
Yep.
Now, if they may have some additional questions, for example, how did you hear about us? Right? If I want to test out my marketing, did you try our, Cornish hen? Did you, are you from out of town? Would you like to be notified about new menu items? All of these types of questions are phenomenal questions that will never come up in an open-ended forum. Nope. And I totally get that. So what we did is we have something called custom questions, and anywhere from 5 minutes to a couple days, and we recommend it being no more than 24 hours, but less than a couple hours, or no more than a couple hours, less than 24 hours. You send a text message, hey, Donald, thanks for coming in today. Thanks for coming in yesterday. Could you answer 5 additional questions about your experience? And conventional wisdom is going to say, Zach, no one's going to answer those questions. But because we already proven to them that that the first survey was so short, it was a 2-question survey. The second time, people are so much more likely to do it. In fact, we found that we're able to get anywhere between 4 to 6 times more people to complete a long survey by doing it our way than by starting with a long survey.
Yep.
So by doing that, you're able to get this really great data. And then you could start to create these buckets of people where I know that Donald is a local. I know that he heard about us through TikTok. And I know that he's interested in hearing about new menu items. And so I go and I could create Ovation also has a text marketing platform to it, because now that we're collecting all of this data, let's segment it and use it. So I know that that Donald's interested in new menu items, and if I want to create a new menu item, I could send Donald and see how it's going to do and get feedback on it. I could send Donald a text message being like, hey, this Thursday, we have this new menu item. Here is $7 off your order if you come in and order it. Because I would love for you to try it, Donald. You said that you would like to be notified of new menu items. And so now I'm segmenting out my text database to make sure that Donald is getting a text message that's pertinent to him, that's interesting to him, that's helpful for me, that's driving revenue, that's driving connection, that's helping Donald feel like he's known, heard, and cared about. And that's the beauty of the marketing personalization, is it drives that at the end of the day, connection. And with custom questions that we have, you're able to learn more about Donald to send Donald the right message at the right time. And those are some things that we found to be extremely successful. And we found people are getting, now this sounds a little bit crazy, but they're getting double-digit percentage redemption rates.
Wow, that's awesome.
On text marketing campaigns. Now imagine if you had a magic button, Donald, that you can click a button and increase your spend by, $3,000 on a Friday.
Yeah,
that'd be helpful.
That'd be really helpful. That'd be
so
helpful.
And what if that cost you $50 to send that out? Like, would that be worth it to you?
I'm in. Right? I'm in all day on that deal.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of text marketing, especially when you can personalize it, is you
Oh
could
yeah.
drive the right people in with the right message at the right time, and it works. And that's another thing that we talk about at your summit is I give, like, here's some strategies on text marketing, but then here's a specific text message that you can send, and I'll show you the
You
exact
give them the
message.
exact script they need, right?
Right, because guess what?
That's been proven to work with
It's been proven
thousands
to
and
work.
thousands of restaurants.
It worked in California, it worked in New York, it worked in Texas. I promise you,
It
it'll work in Sheboygan. Like,
will.
it will
Have you
work.
been to Sheboygan?
I haven't, but I've seen Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Isn't that where they have like the
That's
Sheboygan
it.
marching band? Is that it?
Sheboygan, yep.
And anyway, and I love John Candy, and I always use Sheboygan as like my random city. Is that was that right? Sheboygan was in Wisconsin
Sheboygan.
for the Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, or am I wrong?
I think it's Sheboygan.
Yeah, it is Sheboygan. Yeah, the Polka Sheboygan. Oh no, Home Alone. That's what that, right?
Home Alone was in Sheboygan?
No, where was it in the airport that they were like, they're like the Sheboygan marching band or something, or like polka band or something.
I can't remember.
It was some movie with John Candy, and it was great.
It sounds like a good place to go. But you know what? You're so right about making things simple. I think we tend to, as restaurant owners too, we tend to make complexity the thing that we look for. And there's a great quote out there. I think it says like something that complexity is the enemy of greatness.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you right now, you actually got me on that path last year when you talked about this 2-question thing at the summit last year. For a long time, I have like an application on my website. People can go and apply to talk to me. It was 15 questions. And I was like, man, like no one's applying, or the stop rate. They start the questionnaire and then they stop. I follow a lot of drop-offs. So I'm working it down. I'm down to 5 questions now. And now of course, the completion rate is so much higher. I'm getting a lot more people talking to me about coaching and stuff like that. Was great. I got to narrow it down even tighter. I got to get down to the 2 questions. I got to get down to 2 questions.
Well, in that case, it could be. So, okay, I'll tell you a secret.
All right, tell me a secret.
So the Ovation survey is 2 questions, but when you actually take it, there's a couple more questions that aren't actually questions.
That's the trick.
So we say, enter your phone number. It's not a question. We're telling them to.
But you're getting data.
We just say phone number, and then they type in their phone number. And now until they complete that phone number phase, they don't know that there's 2 more fields, one being name and one being email. But those fields don't pop up until they type in the phone number. And what we found is that, so the first screen is how was your experience? And it's a 1 to 5 question. And so you click it, and the second screen pops up. If they loved it, we ask them why. If they didn't love it, if they didn't love it, we ask them why. If they loved it, then we ask them to go and do things that are going to drive revenue for you. Yeah. But that second screen is that second question. And then the third screen just says phone, what's the best way to reach out to you? Phone number. And that's all it is. Just one field and says phone number. And then the second they type out, fill the last number into their phone number, boom, the second 2 fields pop up. They're already committed. And people who type in their phone number will type in their name. But if I show them name, email, phone number, they're a lot less likely to do it. So we just show them the one thing, and then the other fields pop up after they type that in, and then they can click send to management or submit. So it's more. So there's 2 questions of how did we do and why, basically, but then the contact data is separate from the questions, and we don't ask the questions. We just say phone number, email, name.
Nice.
I mean, like I said, we have tested and iterated and tweaked.
Oh, that's what you guys do.
And
you got guys, programmers who like analyze all this stuff and they run the numbers, and
we run constantly. We're running experiments, and we're tweaking, we're improving, and things change. And what's the right verbiage and what's the right design? And to your point of like complexity and simplicity, the thing I tell people is like, try it the way that it works. Try it the way that it's been proved. Because everyone tells me, oh, in my restaurant, I don't want to do this or I don't want to do that. Yeah. And I always say, Mr. and Mrs. Restaurant owner, do you trust me? And they'll say, I don't know. And I'll say, let me earn your trust. Try it my way.
Yeah, exactly.
And if it's not working, then we'll try it your way. And after we try it your way, you'll realize that it's really about trying it my way, like the right way.
Exact same thing. I have a framework I teach all my clients. It's called the 3P framework. It is the guiding principle of all my coaching programs. It's people, product, process. And I tell them all the same. I will show you the model. I will show you all the different things that go in the model. And I'll tell you right now, you will try to change the model around. It is always people, product, process, always in that order. And I say, you will try to change it around. And then when you realize it doesn't work, you're going to come back and say, all right, Donald, we'll do it your way. And when you do it my way, it works. It's like,
do you know it's so funny? I love when I talk to a client and they're like, oh, Ovation just isn't working for me. I'm like, okay, tell me about that. Ovation isn't working for you. Like, well, all right, well, how did you set up your integration? Well, I don't want to text my guests after the order. Okay, well, like, how are they getting the QR code? Are you using our flyer? Well, I got your flyer, but I didn't like the layout of it. So I created this full page flyer on which there's 6 different QR codes that they can scan for an event or for this or for email or for that or for Ovation. And look, no one's doing it. So it's just not working. I'm like,
too much, too complex. Yeah.
It's too complex. Just try it our way. I promise you. I have yet to come across a restaurant who has guests where Ovation doesn't work. Right.
When people do that, when they like give people too many options, it'd be like going on a first date, and asking them, oh my God, I want to marry you, and I want to have 4 kids, and I want to move to, it'd be like, it's too much. It's too much.
Whoa, slow down there, Tom,
slow
right?
down there, man. I don't even know if I like you yet.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Ask me how I'm doing. Like,
you know what? Hey, start with my name.
Yeah, exactly.
Remember it. What's my name?
And I think, and that's what it comes out with the simplicity, the complexity, and especially if you're in like a franchise location, trust the franchise process, right? Yeah. They've built so many, a lot of these brands. I see it over and over and over again. Is you look at the lowest performing stores and franchise groups, and they're the ones always trying to do their own thing.
Exactly. They're the ones always the way they are.
They're the ones saving a nickel to go down and buy chicken at Restaurant Depot. They're the ones, and I'm like, take that 3 hours and put it into marketing. Take that time and go and do some catering drops and drop off samples at the offices nearby you. Don't try to save a nickel. Just follow the process, and then things work out. You have a much higher likelihood of success when you follow the process as opposed to trying to reinvent the wheel every single time, because the wheel works.
It's funny. I have a poster I give to clients. I have a poster and they put it on their walls, and it says, if at first you don't succeed, try going back and doing it the way your coach told you. And I give it to them.
I should get one of those, except with my wife on it. Go back and do it the way that your wife told you to.
Do it the way your wife told you, right? Yeah.
That's awesome.
Beautiful thing. Yeah, you just automatically admit, I'm wrong. What did I do? Just tell me what I did. What I have to do to make amends. That's all I have to do. Talk to my girlfriend. All right, what did I do? I know I'm wrong, so just tell me what I need to do to make amends.
That's awesome.
So at the Restaurant Success Summit, normally I always just if you've never seen Zack speak in person, he is probably one of the most dynamic speakers I've ever seen. He has a really amazing speaking style. He really gets everyone engaged. So I always have him as my closer. He usually closes on my Tuesday session, and he always closes the Wednesday session. So he's always my closer, because I want to leave people on a high note. And I want people really, oh my God, that was amazing.
And because that I need time to write what I'm going to say that day.
No. But so give people a sneak peek, or just kind of a little tease about what you're going to be speaking at the Restaurant Success Summit this year.
Oh, well, the 3 cons. We dive into the 3 cons this year.
Oh, do we really?
Yeah, we'll dive into the 3 cons and that ladder of loyalty, and then day 2, I'll give some really, really practical advice on marketing and personalization. And so come join us. Come hang out with us in Tucson.
It's gonna be awesome. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Yeah, restaurantsuccesssummit.com. You can get early bird tickets right now. Early bird tickets, they're just honestly, they'll go up in price probably in the next 2 weeks. So it slowly starts creeping up because I know it's going to sell out. So it slowly starts creeping out, and everyone is like, "Oh, you still have that price at the early bird deal?" That was like 2 weeks ago. You should have jumped on that.
Yeah, get it now. I'm
Get
telling
it
you,
now. Get it now.
it's
And if you
such
ever
a
want to speak
good
to Zach
opportunity.
or anybody on his team, just go to ovationup.com. Zach has a great podcast, the Ovation Up podcast. I highly recommend it. He is a, I mean, I can't say enough great things about Zach and about Ovation. They are definitely one of the, I mean, I don't recommend a lot of companies, but Ovation Up is one of the companies I recommend hands down. If you definitely want to get your marketing to the level it needs to be, and you're not really sure how to get there, just reach out to his team. They'll give you a demo. I mean, I would say conversation's free. I mean, these guys will more than happy talk to you and to see if they can help you, and they'll tell you honestly if they can help you or not.
Yep.
But I'm pretty sure they can. So I'm pretty sure they can. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, come check us out. Would love to chat with you. Ovationup.com. We've got, lots of people on the team who can walk you through what we're doing. And then I'd love to meet you in person at the Restaurant Success Summit.
We'd love to have you. Yeah. Come on down, hang out with Zach and I. We got some really great speakers, of course, coming this year. Back again, Bo Bryant.
Love
restaurant
Bo.
giant. Bo is amazing speaker. I got some new speakers this year. I got Ramon Dios from Madrid's coming over. He's one of my good friends. I speak with him every year at Hospitality Innovation Planet. He's coming over this year. He's going to be able to talk about some leadership and some systems and stuff like that. He's also going to be available because, he's also very fluent in Spanish to talk to people in Spanish because I have a lot of clients. My first book came out in Spanish.
Okay, bueno.
So I got a lot of people now, hitting me up about Spanish speaking stuff and Spanish coaches. Ramon's kind of like my guy who I recommend to talk to. And then we've got, of course, Adam Lamb. He's a kind of a culinary coach. He does, I think, Chef Life Radio. He does a podcast too.
Yeah.
He's coming this year.
Awesome.
Kyle and Cerna, Kyle.
I love Kyle.
Kyle's awesome. Sean Walchef. Come on.
Is he coming?
Sean's coming. Sean Walchef.
Dude, Sean's my boy.
Sean from Cali Media Barbecue. The man.
We were just like emailing, and we email or text probably like almost every week, every other week.
Yeah. I got Sean.
He's just so cool.
I got Kyle coming. I got Craig Shelton. He's a James Beard award-winning chef. New York Times 5-star chef too. He's coming too. Who else we got? Oh, we got Juliette Gust. She's a great. She's really big about HR stuff, about compliance, regulations. She's a really, really solid speaker too. She spoke with me on the stage in Madrid. It's gonna be a real powerhouse of people this year. Of course, we got Zach coming. I'll be there. Boom, boom, boom.
I'm stoked.
If you head over to restaurantsuccesssummit.com, you can see the whole list of speakers on there. I did update your profile picture. I got your new one on there. So
okay, good.
Yeah, I got a nice one on there for you. Yeah. But Zach might show up with the beard, maybe not with the beard. We don't know. You never know with Zach. He might show up with the beard.
People tell me, one guy came up to me one day. He's like, "You're like a Mr. Potato Head." Is that because I'm fat and tan? And he was like, "No, because every time I see you, your hair is different. You got a beard, you got a mustache, you got no facial hair. You get, I get very antsy with no change. I like change. You know what I mean? Like
change is good. Change is good. Yeah. I love change. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Zach, I want to say thanks again for being on the show today. I really appreciate it, my friend. Again, if you need to reach out to Zach, just go to Ovation Up. He'll be more than happy to reach out to you. If you ever need to get a hold of me, you can always find me either at my website. You can go to therestaurantcoach.com. You can always email me, Donald@therestaurantcoach. Again, I love hearing from people. And if I can help you in any way, I also have a brand new program out there I want to mention real quick. It's called the TRC Vault. It's a new online community. You can sign up for free. Just go to the Restaurant Coach Vault. I do live trainings on the Vault. I also have an experts corner where people can ask experts questions. Zach, you should sign up in there.
Oh yeah, I'd love to
get in the Vault, and then I'll make you one of the moderators, and I'll put you in the tech. I'll put you in the tech channel, and you can talk about anything tech for people. So go to the restaurantcoachvault.com, sign up, if you got questions, I got, a lot of the experts that are coming to the summit are moderators in the vault. We do live trainings. It's totally free right now. I have it in beta mode right now, so it's totally free. I'm building up this new thing. It's a new online community, but you can reach out to me. I put out tons of content in there. It's a fun way to kind of meet other people from around the world. So the restaurant
I just signed up.
Yeah, awesome. Right. Well, if we can be of any assistance to you, remember Zach and I are both we're servant leaders. We want to help you. So any way we can help you, just reach out to us. Let us know. We're always happy to help.
Amen. Thanks for having me on, Donald.
Thanks, Zach. I appreciate you, my friend.
Appreciate you.